Welcome back to the Ambition Over Fear portal. I'm Atlas Opia, and I help people expand their interdimensional knowledge. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how to have a more empowering relationship with your shadow. The shadow is the key into freedom. We spend most of our lives chasing pleasure and running away from pain. And this way of approaching the shadow is very pre-awakening. It's handling life from a one-dimensional view. But as you expand, you realize that we're living a multi-dimensional existence. Our consciousness is constantly flowing through our physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual realm. So if you watch until the end of this video, you're gonna be able to have a closer relationship with the parts of yourself that you may be ignoring and dismissing, which could lead into anxiety, depression, and feelings of disruption within. So if you look at your system, right? Imagine that your system is like a collection of paints. Your soul is the painter, and the body you're in, and the matrix this body is able to inhabit, is the canvas. Now, as you're the painter, if you only use half of the colors and you never expose yourself to the entire spectrum of color, then your skills and your work are going to be limited. This works the same with your shadow and your light. If you're only looking at the shadow as a means to get more light, then you're truly picking a favorite and you're dismissing 50% of your energetic system. Now, this is in no means telling you to find ways to feel down about life or find ways to sulk in pain and feel attached to your misery. What this is observing those emotions with a sense of neutrality, so you can actually experience the unique aspect of consciousness that exists in every emotion. It's allowing you to feel more connected to all the parts in you. And when you're not running from your shadow and you're not consistently trying to throw it away and avoid it, then you'll find that no matter what emotion you're in, you're able to feel a sense of presence. You're able to feel a sense of entertainment because you're looking at something and observing the unique details of what that thing is, instead of trying to immediately judge something based on the previous experiences that have happened in your life, which then create a connection in your subconscious mind of what is this emotion and what does it mean. The whole purpose of expansion is going beyond the mind so you can understand how to use the mind with more strategy and intention, and not having the mind fill in the blanks and make conclusions that you're not consenting to. This is all about knowing where you're going and what state of evolution you want to head into. So step one is realizing the past of who you are. It's taking a moment to understand that the experiences that have occurred in your life allowed your subconscious mind, which is a program, to intake information and then create a database of beliefs which you now may be running off of. It doesn't matter if you go through an ascension or an awakening and you allow your consciousness to go in those higher realms, because the minute you're wanting to be more present and you're wanting to interact with this third dimensional matrix, you're going to be doing it through the body. And the body keeps track and stores all the information going on in your subconscious mind. Because when you feel an emotion, the thought that you're pulling down from the collective consciousness creates a personal identity with the reincarnation you're in. The body is where you feel those emotions. So ask yourself, when have you felt the most amount of pain in your life? When have you felt a level of trauma and imbalance? And has that time caused you to feel resentful of those disempowering emotions, of the shadow? And it's very natural, right? We're human beings and our system is built to survive. So in the primitive times, we're moving away from pain and going towards pleasure, and that's what led to an understanding of how to physically survive in the ecosystem we were in, to carry forth the human race. But now carrying forward the human race has to do with elevating the consciousness of yourself, so then everybody in the shared consciousness, which is the collective, gets the information you discovered, and it helps them move through their own adversity, and it helps them create a stronger connection with everything in their system. If you have that feeling, right, where you are pushing the shadow away and you're judging it and you feel guilty about it and you're wanting to just be in the shadow long enough for it to turn into more light, chances are that the feeling you encounter during the hard parts of your life was a feeling that you maybe need to revisit in your mind and just allow yourself to sit in that pain and not be so attached to the pain because you think this pain is going to lead to the end of my reincarnation, because our body feels pain and that's usually a signification to fix something. But when our emotions feel pain, we need to shift it into, how can I observe this emotion without attaching to why I'm experiencing this emotion? Because as we were growing up, we were really urged to maybe look like we're a very happy, positive person. We may have been around family or friends and realize that when we're in a happy mood, everybody wants to be around. But the ones that we did not have a great connection with, the moment we were in a low mood, we felt that pushback. Same with our parents. You know, our parents may have conditioned us to believe that when you can act positive, the world will be positive. And when you act negative, you have to go and think about why you're acting negative. So when you can realize that those things that have happened to you and your relationship with the shadow could have come from people that also don't understand the value of the shadow. And so they're passing down dysfunctional ways of being, and this can happen in our society too. So step 2 in how to have a more empowering relationship with your shadow is realizing that if you can observe the shadow as if you're at a zoo and you're looking at a predatorial animal such as a lion or a tiger or a bear, and you're really finding entertainment from observing the animal. You find a majestic nature behind the power of the animal, and you know that the animal is just doing what it's bred to do. It's doing what's in its biological DNA, the essence of that animal. at the zoo, the ones that are predatorial, are just being what they are. And you can find a sense of relief in that. And that might be why we enjoy watching scary movies or seeing animals like sharks and lions and tigers. It's because when we're able to observe things that might be leaning on the shadow side, we find an interest because we are taught to avoid that area of who we are. So if you can look at your shadow and the emotions that come up that make you feel uncomfortable, and just sit with it and breathe into the power of the emotion. Notice how the emotion itself is creating an effect in your body and in your life. And then think to yourself, how do other people in the world affect this? How do other people in the world deal with this emotion? How is the emotion as a character affecting not only me, but the whole world? And if you can observe it and put an energy field, a white wall of light in between you and what you're observing, you can tap into the collective without absorbing the energy. And then you can see the interest of, wow, fear will make somebody completely ignore their potential. It'll make somebody create problems out of nowhere. And then ask yourself, why does a shadow emotion cause these things? And when you can become the philosopher instead of the victim, when you can lead by curiosity instead of fear, that if you feel a shadow emotion is going to take you under, then you are introduced to a new level of consciousness where an emotion is your superpower in this reincarnation. You are seeing that on earth, in this human body, the emotions is what allows your soul to have an experience unlike any other dimension. When you can look at it like that, now your shadow emotions are no longer pests or something wanting to hurt you, but now it's something for you to look at from a perception of, what is this emotion? How is it affecting me? What is it telling the other parts of my body to do? And when you're able to do that, then you're shifting into the translucent state of the feminine, the divine feminine, which is you appreciating the essence of something. But you have to do this without attachment, right? Because it's hard to look at anxiety or depression and find value in it when it's taking your life down. So instead of saying, this is the emotion that's making me feel this, you just say, this is the emotion. And you're looking at depression, you can say, this is a lot slower. It's making my body want to not move as much, possibly leading to more healing in my body. It's making me feel more static. And then what happens if I become static? And as you're doing this, don't assume that the way this emotion is playing out is going to affect every other area of life. Because if you can observe it neutrally, then when you're dealing with your career or your goals or your partnership, you can be in those shadow emotions and not have it spill on to other parts of your life. Now, step 3 of how to have a more empowering relationship with your shadow is giving your shadow emotions the validation to exist. Moving beyond higher or lower, right? Moving beyond love and light and low vibe, and realizing that those words are just ways for your human identity to use spirituality as a mechanism to keep avoiding pain and going towards pleasure. But the true liberation comes from realizing that it's not pain or pleasure, and they're just unique experiences. And if you allow that experience of energy to take place, then you're going to be floating beyond the chase, the endless grind of moving towards pleasure and avoiding pain. And it's similar to looking at a parent who has multiple kids. When one of the children is going through a rough time, or is more rowdy, or is more energetic, and the parent doesn't understand or lacks the patience to deal with it, that kid could be labeled as bad. And there is years spent where the parent tries to teach the kid to not be the way the kid is. But if the parent actually allows a kid to speak their mind, to be in their frantic states, to express their thoughts without judgment, then most of the time that kid can take whatever condition they're in and learn how to work with it as they grow up, because they're understanding it more. So ask yourself, why does a shadow emotion exist? Allow you, the higher self, to have a conversation with your shadow emotions and let it speak. Every one of your shadow emotions is there because of something that is in the collective consciousness, or an experience you have had that is coding your subconscious mind. And as your subconscious mind dominates your movement forward, it stays in fear that this thing might happen again. Or the fact that you're an interdimensional soul having a human experience, and when you realize that it's not that you are just a human and you'll only ever be a human, but your soul is a translucent, eternal ball of energy that you are, that is a doorway into the entire universe, and your soul is getting a moment to be in a virtual reality where it can take form. When you think of all these things, you can understand why the shadow emotions exist. So have a conversation with them and understand why they're there, and then you realize that, oh, the shadow is not this bad thing, it's just a result of certain actions. It is going by the universal law that every action has an equal or opposite reaction. That whatever you have gone through, or whatever is going on in your consciousness, will evolve into different forms of consciousness. The shadow emotion is an effect off of something that has happened. Now, it's not always what experience has created a thought pattern, which is now a trigger, because psychology only focuses on that. It could just be looking at the state of you as a soul having a human experience, and all the things that would go on in your human mind when you're truly a soul projecting yourself into a mind. So depression, well, your soul is in a human experience, and while you're doing that, it can be very tiring, because the world itself and the experience as a human can be filled with many complications, and sometimes we don't get a break from it. Depression is deep rest. It is your body saying, I'm a little bit tired from playing this story. It is your soul saying, wow, okay, I need to find a new way to interact with this matrix, or I just move into a dimension that's outside of the matrix for now in my state of higher dimensional resonance, where I can remember what I am, so I don't take this experience too seriously. Anxiety can come from the fact that you're an immortal soul in a mortal body. And even though your soul is a gateway into all the information in the entire universe, your mind is an elastic tool Your mind is hardware, and your subconscious mind is the program running on the hardware. And you're taking in information unknowingly as you're growing up, and then as you grow up, you're realizing that, oh, this is not me. This is who I became based on my influences in the environment I was in growing up, or the experiences that have happened. So there's a lot of things happening, and that could cause a sense of unsafety in anybody, right? So when you look at your shadow emotions from a sense of, well, why do they exist? And you can look at the triggers in your life and what happened to make me feel this way, but also look at your human existence and see, well, how can shadow emotions come from the human experience, right? Step 4 in understanding your shadow is taking time to find a sense of entertainment and humor in the wild circus that is Mother Earth at times. Taking the moment to remember how you used to view things when you were younger. Now, for some people who may not have had a healthy childhood, you have to conjure the feeling of the inner child, which is looking at the world from a sense of, I'm new here, and everything I'm getting to experience is something different I can be witness to. When you do that, your shadow emotions move from this weight pulling you down to this portal into getting a better understanding of the universe through seeing the moving parts in this matrix. The idea of duality, light and shadow working off one another. The idea of, anxiety and excitement being the same energy but opposites. You can see how everything is connected, and you can appreciate everything for what it is, because it is a unique aspect of the ecosystem of what you're looking at. Okay? So consider these things when looking at your shadow, and definitely check out some of my other videos. I make a video every Tuesday and Thursday, so definitely subscribe if you're wanting to go beyond the limited self and into the unlimited universal mind, knowing that your abilities as a soul comes from remembering information through your curiosity, instead of trying to fit this identity of what you think it means to be a successful human or look good by other people, right? Break free of those things and definitely watch more of these videos. And also, if you're an empathic starseed or an alchemist, if you're somebody that is breaking into new realms of awareness by your experiences and the things coming through your imagination, you know there is a pull to understand a new layer of what is going on in your reality. Looking at something from a new perception allows you to take that thing and break it down into resources where you can create something else. Every experience and emotion is a valuable resource that you can then shift into a more empowering emotion or experience. And by empowering emotion, I don't mean a light emotion, going from a shadow emotion to a light emotion, but you could have an empowering perception on anxiety, right? And so moving into that understanding is key into being liberated from seeing things from your locked perception. And through my galactic quantum coaching, I'll introduce you to different skills that allow you to know what the next step of your soul's evolution is, and it gives you a set of tools that you can use to understand the different dimensions of the universe, so you can travel in them and gather the resources you need to make manifestations in any of the dimensions. And I'm talking to you galactic guardians too. So definitely let me know, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. And remember, stay in peace and power. The power comes from realizing that you don't need anything else besides what you are and what you have in this present moment. There is no more chase. Okay. All right, you guys have a good one. Bye.